Hey everybody, welcome back to Champnsons and our racing series, where, as I promised y'all, the first Xfinity race of, the series and of our career mode here, as we have got our own car and we are at Daytona, following up after our victory in the truck series. Now this is our very first race in the Xfinity series under our car. We did the whole hot seat stuff. We had that one. It was at, I forgot which motorway, Bristol, I think. It was at Bristol last season. Finished well on that one, but as y'all know, we're building up our own team, right? Now, one thing with Xfinity is it cost a lot more money than even the truck series did. So getting the cars, the number of cars that we're going to need is going to be kind of tough. Right now we have the Super Speedway car, which is really only good here at Daytona and at Talladega. But then we also do have one Speedway vehicle. That's it. So far we're only at 2 cars right now. So we're going to have to add in a lot more. Now, one thing with Xfinity, though, is the payouts become a lot greater than what they are in the truck series, right? So in the truck series, even if you win, you're talking $30,000 for some races, 45 maybe for some races. But with Xfinity, that payout gets a lot more. Downside, we're going to have good finishes, and as everybody knows, at least if you played the NASCAR heat games, when you start your own team, the base starting level that you have is a 75 for your suspension, your engine, and your aero package, and your pit crew. It's like a 70 or something. Maybe they're 75 also. Either way, they're fairly low rated. They're not the top tier team, right? In the truck series, it took us a couple years to get them brought up to where the team and all that, the pit crew and everything was at 100%. Everything else is still at 95%. Here we are 75s across the board starting out. That's why we're running a little slow in our qualifying rounds, and even then, for some reason, just don't qualify all that well at these super speedways. As y'all saw in the truck series, we came in just shy of last at like 31st out of the 32 teams. Now there's 36 cars here, and we are on the final lap of our qualifying run, going a little bit slower than our goal of basically 48 seconds. We're not going to be able to meet that one, as we do finally come across the finish line here at just about a second slow, 49 seconds, which is good enough for last place. So we got that going for us here, last place in our very first ever Xfinity race at Daytona at the NASCAR Racing Experience 300. So this is a little slightly longer. This race will be a grand total of 60 laps, assuming there is no overtime laps or anything like that. So we are in it for a 60 lap race. As we go, I may change the total number of laps or not. We're at 50%. I may change it down to 25. We'll kind of have to see how that works with running the truck and the Xfinity series. However, we are underway here. Now, Riley Herbst, a good friend of ours from the truck series, is actually back at the pack due to some other issues during qualifying and scanning stuff. So he started at the back, but the whole field gets out to a good jump. We did not have a good start coming out of this to the first green flag of our Xfinity career. Not a good start at all. So we are right here back in last place. Now these stages, right now stage 1 is a 14 lap stage, so we've got time. But if everybody's just breaking away from us, what does that time do? But no good. So we are in the draft pattern. We are able to pick that up. It's not having as big of an effect because, once again, our aero package is really at about a 75. That makes it a little bit more difficult and a little less effective once you're in the draft. So we are trying to use that to pull it up. If we can get with the main group, once we do, we will be able to actually shift our car around, and I think we can use that draft to our advantage. The problem is we're having to catch up to them right now, and we just completed our first lap maintaining last place, which is pretty symbolic of the car that we have going at this time. But I do think if we race properly, we can get some good movement on and actually get moved on up in this field. So here in lap number 2, coming into turn number 3, we finally catch up to the group. And we have Graf Jr. ahead of us as we come out of turn number 4. Using his draft, we try to take it to the outside and squeeze him down, but he maintains his line. And we have moved up to P35, just if not for the time being, as we catch up onto Austin Hill and get right behind him. Trying to get his draft going as we're going to go 3 wide here into turn number 1. On lap number 3 here at Daytona, kind of bouncing around like a pinball a little bit, going down, giving Herbst a little tappy. Coming out of turn number 2 and on the back straightaway, still maintaining the 3 wide. We've got to get down to the bottom at some point. We got to make our pick. Which line is it that we're going to go? We have Austin Hill in front of us down low, Barcarella right in front of us, and Casil on the high side. Y'all know me, I like to go down low on these turns, so that's where we are going to go ahead and take that. But I need Herbst to get kind of a run, and we need to free up some space as we do tap his back right side, but he moves ahead of us. It doesn't slow us down too much. Now we're going to move on up to here later in the first stage, and we have been able to draft. All right, we've been getting into the drafts, and we're able to use that to kind of slingshot us around some of these cars, and we've actually worked our way up to a top 20 position, right? Cutting through the field. And on these super speedways, that's a little bit easier to do without risk of running into cars, especially coming into these turns. So now it's just really Sieg is trying to block us off quite a bit here as we do try to shift around. We're just unable to do that. Now, Nemechek is going to come in behind us and give us a little bit of shove. We basically got a three-way of cars going here in one single draft. Now, I'm not sure. I do drop down below to get out from behind C because he is going on the high side, and I just don't think that's the fastest way to do it. As we maintain down low, and we're actually going to get past Mills and squeeze into a top 15 spot. Ross Chastain, they're right in front of us. Friendly in the truck series, but Xfinity is something totally different. Right now, we don't have really any friends in Xfinity at this moment. Now, we dive down to the inside of Chastain and get right behind Cindric, who's in the P13 spot. We're now in P14. Just a couple laps remaining here in stage number 1, our first stage of the Xfinity series in our career, or with our car, really, as we now have the final 2 laps. Trying to push Cindric, and that's one thing. If we can get him to push around the track, it'll actually help us. And now with the, kind of the other guy coming up behind us, Chastain giving us a little bit of a shove, we might be able to actually make some space if we can keep him behind us and keep him in our draft as we do get on this back straightaway here. Everybody's still maintaining a pretty tight group as we're in the P15 spot now, as Sieg has moved past both us and Cindric. Now Cindric kind of dropped back in front of him, but we're maintaining P15 right now as we come down and get ready for the final lap of stage number 1. This is going to be a big stage right here, our first time with our own car in Xfinity, and a car that's not built to win just yet, but we will get it there sure enough. So final lap, trying to get into that P14. I really want to try to move up into a P10. If we can get to a P10 and actually get a stage point, that would be just a phenomenal finish to stage number 1. We dive down inside, but we go too low. We cross the double yellow, and we end up letting it off at that point just to get back in line with the group. And we fall back into P15 as Sieg slides up in front of us on the high side, and he goes down into the middle trying to make it 3 wide, but he squeezes us out down low. Go out of turn number 3, and then out of turn number 4, we push him right back up. He's not going to be the one to push us around. Coming into the final little segment here in P15. Chastain making a run for it, but we will finish in P15 after stage number 1. Our first stage in Xfinity as our own team comes in a pretty good spot, starting in 36, getting up to P15. Using the cars a lot to help us get around the track. That was a big advantage for us. So now we're getting set for stage number 2. We do not do any type of work in the pits just yet. Tires are getting a little low. They're at 69%. It's not really what you want them to be at. You prefer to be a little higher. We'll have to work on our suspension and aero package as we go, and that'll kind of help out with that. Now, stage number 2 is going to be 12 laps in the making here. And we move up quickly to P14. Nemechek tries to dive down underneath us there. But we do go ahead and block him as we have Labe right there in front of us. A little too low as we hit the bottom curtain and smoke our tires some. But been able to maintain kind of the speed coming out of the green flag. So not quite at top speed yet. And you can see that as Chastain comes rolling up behind us, kind of shoving us out of the way. Nemechek deciding, I need him to decide whether he's going to be a draft partner or not. It seems like he just does it based off convenience. As we enter turn number 3, he does come up behind us to try to give us that shove out of turn number 4. We're now in P14 spot. Nemechek trying to push us through to help him get going. And we've moved up officially into P14 after lap number 1 of stage 2. Here in the second lap, Brown is right there before us as we push him to the outside. He's stuck in the middle lane going 3 wide. He has to slow up, almost losing control a couple of times. But that does move us into P11. Trying to fight for a P10 spot. Labe is in front of us. We need some help right here. Briscoe comes up from behind us to give us a shove. Trying to get into an official P10 spot. And unable to do it as we come into turn number 3 just yet. Coming out of turn number 4 with some good draft, but we hit that curtain once again. We're starting to lose a little bit of control with the way our tires are wearing down at 65% going at these speeds. As we do finish lap number 2, still in a P11 spot, Labe in P10. But here comes someone else on the outside. Algier comes on the outside, and he's going to now make it 3 wide with Cindric stuck in the middle. Cindric nowhere to go. P11, he's stuck right there. We officially get into a P10 position. Slide up in front of Cindric, and we tap bumpers, and that almost sends us going wild, but we hold on to it. As this is a tough race right here. Little bumping, little hittings going on early here in stage number 2. As we come into turn number 3, we have officially hit a P10 spot. Trying to fight to maintain it now. Labe is in front of us. I hope it's pronounced Labe instead of something like Labe or something stupid. As we dive down too low again, losing slight control. Losing control just slightly though. Now we're going to move up here into lap number 8. Of 12 as we are still in the top 10, maintaining top 10 in a P8 position. Trying to fight some guys off as we get past Hill with only Green in front of us trying to get a P7. This is a big time finish for us with only 4 laps to go here in the stage if we can maintain. Green trying to draft off of him not having any of it, and it's going to go to a caution. Everybody else is pitting. Oh man, our tires are at 53%. I'm going to have to pit at some point, and I don't want to be stuck pitting by myself either during stage 3 or just during this part. Apparently it wouldn't have mattered because even with the pit at the same time as everybody else, we still dropped all the way to last place. As we get going here in basically what amounts to the final couple laps of stage number 2. Coming in 2 laps, we are in P35. Our pit crew not top notch, and it showed as we dropped from a top 10 spot all the way down to P35, and now we got to start the climb once again. Hill is in front of us. We go down a little low trying to make space as we continue to fight and go aggressive with it, making that space to move down low, and that gets us going pretty quick here as Clements is the only one in front of us in P31. Now Hemrick in P30, trying to push him for that position here in the final laps of stage number 2. We've got to be aggressive to set ourselves up for this third and final stage. As we come out of turn number 4, we've moved up to P33, now 32, as we continue this climb here. Coming across this finish line, we got 1 lap to go in stage number 2. We are in 32nd place right now, just behind Hemrick, trying to use him as a draft partner. We'll give him a little shove if he gives us the pull. Little shove and pull action, you know what I mean? As we push him up into the middle lane, and that's going to force him to slow down a little bit. We're now in P30. We almost lose control there. Diving down too low once again, but we have maintained P30. Now Hemrick is going to go around us on the outside, but we're keeping our position. Down low we go into turn number 3, final lap of stage number 2. Trying to keep some form of momentum as cars are starting to pass us a little bit here and there. Coming out of turn number 4, P31 position now. Cars are making a move on the outside, and we are going to thankfully finish in a P31 position. Obviously, no points. With the way the pits worked out, I guess, that's probably the best I could ask for, right? Now, we're going to jump ahead a little bit here into stage number 3, the final stage. We're looking at about 30 laps, give or take, or 20-something laps for the whole stage. Right now, we got about 27 laps remaining in this race. We have moved ourselves all the way up to a P18 position, right behind Earnhardt, going past Cindric on the outside there. Now, using the draft is pretty well. We got to be careful for damage. We've got to drive well just to avoid the penalties that damage can cause to your car. So now here we come. David Starr is the only one in front of us. We're side by side with him for 15 and 16. We're stuck in 16 right now because he's got us beat just by mere inches. Briscoe comes up to give us a little bit of a push, but nowhere to go with Earnhardt sticking right there in front of us. As we come into turn number 3 and around and outside of turn number 4, we've moved up into a P15 position, trying to claim a top 10. That would be such an amazing race for us here if we could finish in a top 10 spot, as we're only 4 spaces away now in P14. Annette ahead of us in 13, sticking with Earnhardt and Briscoe right there to give us that shove. That's going to move us into a P13. Howard on the high side. We stayed down low. Coming out of turn number 2, almost slide up into him, losing control just a little bit early on here in stage number 3, the final stage of this race, as we are now in the back straightaway here with about 25 laps remaining. And now we are going to advance on up a little bit. The drafting has worked. We have got ourselves a top 10 finish. Unfortunately, coming into another restart off an accident, off a caution, and look at this, the poor restart. We go from top 10, now we're down to P14, and these cars are just coming up with too much ease. Alfredo goes around us. Now we got 3 wide at some point as we almost lose control and hitting the bottom apron. Harmon, everybody else is passing. Nemechek getting around us. You've got to be kidding me. Everybody's going. Riley Herbst. I can't even get up fast enough to block them. We've only got about 6 laps remaining in this race, and everybody has just shoved their way right past us here after that restart, and we've dropped all the way back to P24 spot. So now the game of catch-up goes. How far can we get caught up in these final about 5 laps as we come out of turn number 5, or turn number 4 there, here at Daytona Motor Speedway, or is it International Speedway? Either way, it's Daytona. Everybody gets it. It's the Super Bowl of racing, and we need a hell of a finish. 55 of 60 laps completed, or we're on lap 55 of 60. Officially, we've got about 6 more laps, I think, if you want to get technical about it, coming out of turn number 2. Still in P24, trying to chase down McLaughlin. We've got a good run on him. We do take it down to the inside. Hopefully we can hold it, and he doesn't dive down in front of us. And he's not going to be able to, as we do maintain that inside line. Riley Herbst is right there in front of us, our old buddy from the Truck Series. We're going to try to get control of his draft and, work with each other to get around this track. If you fans of Talladega Nights, do a little slingshot maneuver. If we can't get the slingshot going, a little shake and bake happening. Herbst said, no, sir, not today. So we do try to pass him on the outside coming into turn number 1. Giraffe Jr. down low, trying to keep us from hitting that bottom side and falling in front of Herbst. Herbst is going to tap us right there to say, hey, what are you doing? As we come out of turn number 2 and get on the back straightaway. We've got a little bit of a run going, needing to hold it. Herbst giving us all we can handle right there, maintaining the inside lane as he does get moving on. And now he has kind of cleared us, and Jones is in front of us in 23rd. We're all the way back to P24. Kind of losing control every now and then. Our car is seeming to get weaker, which I was afraid of that happening. When your engine and everything like that is at 70, 75%, that's liable to happen. You're going to lose some power and some speed as you get going in these longer races. Just didn't think it'd be that much. Now, catching back up to the group, we go right past Gage Jr. on the out. We go down to the inside and we get right past him. Jones is in front of us. He's in a P22 spot. We got 4 laps remaining in this race. Trying to catch up to Herbst, see if we can't use him once again. He didn't really enjoy that last time, so we're trying it again. to see if we can't get him to be our partner, at least for just another lap or two. Coming out of turn number 4, still in the P23 spot, we dive down below Herbst, give him a little tap, move him on up. Nemechek's in front of us in P21. We've moved up to P22, coming out past the finish line there. 3 laps remaining. Nemechek is right in front of us, only about 3 spots away from being out of the top, or from being in the top 20. That is going to be impressive, especially with the way this race has gone. So 3 laps, or well, now 2.5 laps are remaining as we're on this back straightaway. Giving it all we got, and the car starts smoking. That's going to require him to slow up. At least we got one guy past. After that, and they're going to throw the caution. They kind of had to. He's right there. He's going to have to dive down below to get in the pits. That's the only thing that does make sense. Now, no need to pit stop, obviously. We got only about 2 laps left coming out of this one. And as you can see, it's actually going to be a little overtime race in these final 2 laps. Coming in at Daytona, our first ever NASCAR Racing Experience 300 as our own Xfinity team. Looking for a top 20 finish. We're in P21. Nemechek is in P20. He's our next one to go. Jones is in front of him in P19. And we stick down to the inside. We get a little bit of run. And now Fincham drifted up to the 19 spot. Jones is all the way down to 18. Trying to hold it together. As all the cars on the outside get a good run, Nemechek pushes it. And he's going to move back up into the P20 spot. Herbst in 21. We're in 22, now 23. Kind of alternating there. We got less than a lap and a half remaining. Come down to the bottom of turn number 3. Gage Jr. gives us a nice little shove. That's going to push us out of turn number 4 there, moving up a couple spots into P21. Trying to get past everybody as we finally get into P20, right behind Nemechek in the 19 spot. We are on the final lap. This is looking for a top 20 position. Here in front of us, we've got the opportunity. Now we are officially in P19. Brown is 18. Trying to get our good run on it. Earnhardt's in 17. How many of these guys can we catch if we can stick to the bottom? As we get across here on the back straightaway, this is what it's all about. Jones sliding up into the middle. Going to be going 3 wide here into turn number 3 on the final lap of the race. As Jones barely holds it together, but he does drift back. P16 for us. Trying to fight for that top 15 now. We've got a top 15. Coming out of turn number 4. This is going to be hard to hold. Cars are going 3 wide. Everybody trying to get to the finish. P14. And we've got P14. Our first top 15's finish. And our first ever Xfinity race with our own team here at Daytona. That was a hell of a race. A hell of a finish. And I can't believe we got that squeezed out. Now that was a big one. Stay tuned and keep a watch out for future episodes where we will have the Truck Series and Xfinity all in one episode, ladies and gentlemen. Thank y'all for joining us in this one. Thank y'all for all the support. I can't thank y'all enough for everything y'all have done for us in our channel. It's been crazy. So just once again, I'm so grateful. Thank y'all so much. Now, on that note, I will see y'all in the next episode. So, as always, everybody stay safe. And, well, y'all know how it goes by now, right? Later, y'all.